Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 58 of the Xbox Hall of Gamers podcast. This week, I'm joined by our wonderful producer, Cameron.
Hello.
Oh, I can edit that. Wonderful. And our absolutely fantastic co-host, Charlotte.
Hi.
And me. You know.
Number
You're here
two
every week.
in New Zealand.
But in New Zealand,
No.
I'm number one in New
No,
Zealand.
number one in New
Sorry,
Zealand. Get
in
that
ANZ.
right.
Yeah,
Two in
number one. I'm always
America.
going to be number one.
No,
in
two
New
in
Zealand.
Australia. Sorry.
Yeah.
ANZ.
This week, we've got quite a bit of news. There's been some more mudslinging and the Sony Xbox, kerfuffle as always.
Really? What?
Yeah, right. What a fucking surprise. I've played a lot of games. We've got a lot to talk about. And then there's some controversy about the Xbox Series S. But without any further ado, Cameron's going to transition us to a song of the week that our good friend of the show, Bulbasaur, sent in as one of our first guest song of the weeks in a very long time. So,
Yeah.
take it away.
Summer has come and passed. The freedom can never last. Wake me up when the games begin. Like the consoles come and pass, the generations move so fast. Wake me up when the games begin. Here comes the games again, featuring the stars. Dreading the pain again, knowing that they'll be lost. As the deaf seem to rest, they always forget what was lost. Wake me up when the games begin.
Alright, I know what it is.
I would fucking hope so.
It's Jesus of Suburbia.
Oh god, yeah.
Okay.
No. How did you? Wow, that's
Okay, do you get the joke? Is
no.
the
I
first
do
question.
not. I do not get the joke.
The
You're gonna have to
last
explain.
time when me and Kirby did the RGS episode,
You did
and
the same song, yeah. Oh yeah.
it was
yes.
Jesus of Suburbia, and I guessed "Wake Me Up When
Ah.
September Ends."
Well, I believe it was "Good Riddance" actually is the name of the song, right? But you guessed. I think you guessed "Jesus of Suburbia" or something fucking completely.
No,
wrong.
no, he did Jesus of Suburbia, and I guessed
I'm
"Wake Me
pretty-
Up When September Ends."
I have the song list here, Cameron. It
Okay.
definitely wasn't
Was
Jesus of
it?
Suburbia.
All
it
right,
was.
well, I'm
it
We
going
was
have
great.
the whole song list literally saved.
Yeah, it was "Good Riddance," and I put it in there because it got sung twice for some fucking reason. But yes, okay. Do you know what the song is, Cameron?
"Wake Me Up When September Ends."
Yes. Okay. Who sings it?
Green Day.
There you go. Okay,
Good job.
fantastic.
That's the band that I booked tickets for and they could never go to because of fucking COVID.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. I would say
Sounds
that's
about right.
I was going to say that's true for a lot of bands, to be honest. But yes, thank you, Bulbasaur, very much for sending that in. We greatly appreciate it. I would love to get more guest songs of the week, whether you write them out and get me to sing them or sing them yourself. I'd love to sort of chuck them on the show. It's great.
Yeah,
really,
you don't actually have to sing them yourself. We do have 3 hosts, so you can actually pick and choose who you want to sing them.
Two of
Yeah.
which can sing. I'll let you guess.
Yeah, exactly right.
Baby
Yeah.
shark doo-
Both of them are me.
Rude.
No,
You
no,
cunt.
you did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so thank Bulbasaur for sending that in. All right, well, I suppose we'll get straight into the news because, actually, no, sorry, we have one community question, I should say,
We
that
should
came in.
probably start with that.
Jeez,
Yeah, so
Isaac
we-
misses a few weeks and then you just want to immediately just.
It's true. It's
shove
true.
him out.
I very
Just
much got
discount
used.
his
I've-
question altogether.
I very much got used to Isaac not sending in questions, but we are glad that he's back. Thank you very much, Isaac. So he did have a question that says, "Hey guys, with people like Voodix fixing achievements and people finding new ways to get achievements all the time, have there been any unobtainables, or I guess this contains your unobtainables, that you'd never thought you'd get, but were finally able to pop? Anything interesting you had to do to get it to pop? Thanks for taking my question, Isaac."
Mm.
This is a tough one. I mean, I guess Charlotte, for you, probably Hoa is probably the
Hoa, and I'm still trying to get it to pop. Like I have to replay the whole entire game. I still don't know if that's going to work for me, but I guess we'll find out. But I have had to like delete the save file, delete the whole entire save file, and restart it from scratch. I did follow the instructions from what someone had said on TA, but that did not work. So, like for me, I'm just trying whatever I can to get this achievement to pop. But like, trying to think of what other ones I've had that I've had trouble with. I think I have had trouble with. Oh, I know which one I'm currently, but that's actually gameplay, not actually achievements.
Right.
What is the game? The one that freezes on the same spot every single time, and then I got you to test it for me, and it was Oxenfree. Yeah, which we think potentially is an issue with Series X. So
Maybe.
I have to test this to see if it is gonna work on, another device, but it's not going to work on Series X. We've made that sure. Like we've determined that at least.
Yeah, no, like so far.
Yeah, but that's stopping me from getting the achievements because I can't actually play the game.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly.
The extent of that is actually trying it on multiple different devices and getting whoever I have as friends who have like older Xboxes, which I don't have and don't own, to test this for me to try and see if I can get it to work.
You always keep one.
Yeah, but I
One
started
Kinect,
with a Series
one
X.
console.
Oh God.
This does not help if you
360.
start on Series X.
Mm.
If you come into the game late and you don't have access to an earlier device. Yeah. Anyway, what about you, Cameron?
Unobtainables, no. Buggy achievements, probably. Like I'll go on about it later on the show, but Golden Lamb having the tarot card for me. Finally got it done this week with a hot patch. There's nothing that like sticks out to me though. Like as much as like I'm torn when it comes to these unobtainables because some of them like just naturally in the pipeline already.
Yeah.
So like they're as much as the achievement fixes like recorded and all that, they're not contributing with those ones. It's more so the older ones, which is, like finding a needle in a haystack, trying to get this stuff through.
Yeah, or waiting for RNG.
Yeah.
For something to drop, right?
Yeah. There's nothing that sticks out for me though in terms of unobtainables.
Yeah.
I guess everyone got lucky with Backbone, apart from Firehawk.
Yeah,
I mean,
but that
I'm
was
going through it now.
Yeah, I had a couple of moments where the two of the last couple of achievements had a delayed pop, so I was worried that I wasn't going to get them at all. So I was pretty upset about that, but it managed to be okay. And Welsh's guide on that was basically perfect.
Yeah.
There's not really much in the way of like, chances are if something has an unobtainable or discontinued or something, I'm just not going to play it. And the only time I get fucked over with that is when they add things like in Indivisible with that fucking DLC that can't be completed.
See, I don't think people like this is especially for newer games. Like I don't like it when people are scared away because there is a broken achievement. Because if that's the case, if you're one of those people that has, say, Game A comes out, has 5 unobtainable achievements, and you go, all right, I'll just wait even though I've bought the game. It's like, no, you should be playing through it. You should be nagging the hell out of the devs, making sure it's on their roadmap.
I mean, yes or no. I mean, that's not the player's responsibility, though.
It's not the player's responsibility, but then at the same time, if the community doesn't do anything about it, that's when we have situations where studios go down and something ends up never getting
But
fixed.
the thing is that, like, at the end of the day, I think it's a moot point, right? I think that the developer should have fixed it, should have done it correctly in the first place, and that it shouldn't be on people to play a game that is essentially to achievement hunters incomplete.
I would say yes to a point. It would, like, there was many different factors. If it's a solo dev trying to meet a deadline in that,
I mean, look, I mean, like, the thing
I
is,
can understand mistakes happen. Is what I'm
sure. Like, I understand why
but
things happen, but the only person that is responsible for that is the person who makes the game at the end.
Yeah,
of
and
the
that's
day.
not on the player.
Yeah, that's
You cannot put that on the player.
And
That's
it's not.
like,
yeah, exactly, and it's not on the consumer from a money point of view.
Yeah,
is that like I'm not going to buy a game that doesn't work the way I need it to.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It should be it should be controlled and managed by the developer and the publisher. Like that's who deals with that.
I agree to a point, but I think it's more on the platform that it's on.
Okay.
I mean, there's an aspect of
police
that.
that stuff.
But that's like working with
yeah.
with them, right?
Yeah,
like,
but I think at the end of the day, it doesn't like the people who play it have no responsibility to the game whatsoever.
No, exactly. It's like the players of the game.
Look, I think if you're a part of the achievement hunting community and you realize that something's broken, you should be reporting it.
Speak up and say something, but like it shouldn't be your responsibility though.
Yeah, but if I found out
what testers are paid for.
If I found out somebody encountered a bug in a game and they just didn't tell anybody about it, it's
and
like,
then
what do you
expect about it?
Yeah, what do you expect to be done?
Okay, I can see that.
That's a few people, like.
Yeah, I guess so. In my case, yeah, like I don't have anything on my list that I think that is like got fixed that I was like jump back on immediately. You know, there's the odd like unobtainable for DLCs, all that kind of stuff that I'm like, oh cool, I keep an eye out for when it gets fixed. Like I think was it Forza Horizon had a couple of issues with not this update, but the first one that they did. So I just waited for them to fix it because I knew they would. The only other sort of example I could think of is not necessarily achievement related as such, but it was Dragon Age 2, the Explorer. I think it's the Explorer achievement, which is for getting every single crafting ingredient. Is notoriously quite glitchy, and I played through the entirety of that game and didn't get it, and I was very, very upset. And I put that game down for many years until I went back. I think it was last year. I went back and just was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just sit down and do it, play through the whole game again. Had a good time with it. You know, put it on easy, just kind of smash my way through it. And I did manage to get it when I was supposed to, but I did have to play through 80% of that game again. So it was quite a bit. David in chat asks, are achievements more buggy nowadays than they ever have been? I don't remember achievers being as broken as they were during the 360 times. Yes and no. I think that as a whole, achievements, like if you think about it, and this is something we talked about on RGS way back in the day in terms of like how many achievements are actually like unobtainable or discontinued and have problems, is such a small, tiny amount of the total achievements done. Especially these days where it's like the game, you know, there are more releases than you can even keep track of. Back in the day, there definitely were games that had buggy achievements or that kind of stuff, but there were less games. There was less opportunity for that, and the people who did have those games tended to be from bigger publishers who kind of had the system down pat. And also, the 360 was the prominent platform for achievements, right? They invented the system, so it was like, hey, you're going to make a game on 360. Here's what the achievement system is. He didn't have that sort of thing with trophies. Trophies came in a bit later in the PlayStation and PlayStation 3 generation. But that was very much in a response to how successful achievements were. And now obviously it's changed because PlayStation took off with PlayStation 4 and for the most part with 5. But we just don't see as much anymore. But there are still issues. I'm glad they're getting fixed. And I'm glad now there are also avenues for people like you said, Cameron, to people to actually report this stuff and actually get these fixed with like, you know, the achievement fixes and things like that.
Yeah, and especially with like the fact that we do have like the assistance of Verdicts and Dwagging and all of that. Like it's easy to find people who are going to actually be able to help you and like communicate this to the people that need to know and need to fix it.
Yeah. I was going to say, just add on to it too, I feel like the big dogs have more, like I'm talking AAAs and that here, it's more prevalent with discontinued achievements rather than unobtainables. Whereas in your like ID at Xbox, like first time publishing on Xbox kind of titles are the ones that have unobtainables, but then it's more so, you know, they're new to the system, they're trying to get around the tools kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. But, thank you for the question, Isaac.
Yeah, thanks. Hopefully that gives you some insight. Let's get straight into news. This first one at the top was one that I was like, is an interesting one. So there's a story on Char that's been going around. It was on Reddit as well. Xbox Series S is a quote-unquote albatross as studios want it dropped, a developer says. So there's been a little bit of conversation going on. This kind of relates back to the announcement, the other, which again, I think was in our Discord. I don't think we talked about it on the show, was that Gotham Knights is coming out at 30 FPS without any kind of performance mode or anything like that, which is quite frankly kind of unacceptable in these.
It's also not the only game.
Yes, there are other games, but this was a big
This
one.
was specific, yeah.
Which
did spark a discussion about it.
at the same time, IGN giving a game like this a 5 mediocre.
Mm.
I
like,
mean,
oof.
obviously, I can't. Yeah, Peppa Pig has performance mode. Exactly, David.
You saw Macca's tweet. Don't claim his clout.
No, I. To be fair, I did actually notice that when I played through my 1 point or so my 2.1 or whatever. I was like, I went into options because I was like, what options the fucking Peppa Pig game have? And I was like, oh, what is the performance mode? What?
Yeah.
That is pretty funny. I mean,
60 FPS, you know.
I wonder what sacrifices they had to make to give
Yeah.
Peppa Pig.
All right.
Peppa Pig at 60 FPS. Yeah.
Let's go around the horn. We'll talk to you guys. Charlotte, do you have any initial thoughts?
My only initial thoughts was to do with Plague Tale, because like we've been looking forward to that for a long time, and the fact that that is 30 FPS, like, that irks me a lot, because it's one of my, like, it was one of my favorite games when I played it after you'd suggested it. It's Plague Tale. Gotham Knight I was reasonably interested in. It has put me off a little bit, but I have seen someone playing a little bit of it, and it wasn't actually that bad. Not as bad looking at as I thought it would be, but I feel like it would still be really noticeable, especially with gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll talk a bit about Plague Tale when we get to what I've been playing this week. Cameron, you have any sort of initial thoughts? I'll go through the article a little bit afterwards.
I am just very conflicted at the moment, and I don't know if you want to go for the article first, and then I'll say my reasoning why.
Sure. Okay, so the conversation sort of kicked off with Gotham Knights, as we said, where they're Rocksteady's senior character technical artist Lee Donavold took a few shots at the console, even referred to it as a potato, basically. So his quote was, "I wish that gamers understood what 60 FPS means in terms of all the things they lose to make the game run that fast, especially taking into account that we have to have a current gen console that's not much better than the last gen one." And now these tweets have been deleted. The Series S GPU, mostly multi-platform games, always have to optimize towards the lowest platform. Series S exists, though, and Microsoft won't let you launch one without the other. The entire generation of games hamstrung by that potato. Which is, to be fair, is a conversation that we've had before, right? When the consoles got announced and we learned that they were going to do a year of having all the stuff on the old Xboxes still, which again turned into multiple years because of COVID. And then we also talked about how it's like, well, they've got a rule where you have to bring the game out on the Series S and the Series X, which means you have to develop it for the Series S and then upscale it, basically.
Yeah. But then add a performance mode into it, like.
Right? It's Jeff
It
Gerstmann.
doesn't seem like it's that hard.
Yeah, right. That's well, again.
I mean, it would be, but you know what I mean. Like it should be standard.
It really feels like it should be a priority, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeff Gerstmann, former of Giant Bomb, basically weighed in, basically saying that the whole Series S is holding back next gen games argument seems really broken to me. Most of these games come on PC, which already have to cover a wide range of configurations, which is a good point. You know, like there's been a lot of talk about how like this like choosing between like a fidelity and performance mode thing is kind of like not great on consoles. Consoles should just kind of have like a set thing where they just run at 60 and kind of fuck this 4K stuff, or the game should be optimized enough, or the console's powerful enough to run both. I understand why that's not always the case, right? Like there's, you know, every game is different. It's not just like you type in 4K 60 into the machine and it fucking does it for you, right? But there's been a lot of conversation about it, especially from different developers. But then also there was some stuff around that came out today around God of War. And now it has like a million different options for the game, where it's like you can run it at 30, you can run it at 60, you can run it at 120. Like, you know, and then that game's still coming out on PS4, right? That's the thing, is that like it's nuts that it is, but there is a precedent there for being able to select what sliders you want to move up and down. I mean, for me, it's fidelity all the way down, frame rate all the way up. But I know that's not the same for everyone. I don't know. What do you guys kind of think about that? I mean,
I just go what's on the box most of the time.
Yeah, that wouldn't concern me. I wouldn't even touch it,
Yeah.
to be honest. I don't change anything like that.
Yeah.
I only change the way that I can like use the controller. That's the only time I would actually change any settings.
Yep. I mean, I'm not really fussed about my game looking the prettiest and all that, just as long as like the gameplay's solid. That's the main thing for me. I imagine with you though, Matt, it would be a different story with colorblind modes and stuff like that.
A little bit, but like most of those colorblind modes are fucking useless anyway.
Mm.
So I just kind of deal with it. For me, it's like I always like if it has like a performance mode or fidelity mode, I always put it on performance. I'm always interested in getting the smoothest experience. Even I mean, like my eyes are shit anyway, right? So I have trouble with like color and focus in general. So it's like, you know, people will notice that when I take photos, they tend to be a little blurry because I can't tell the difference.
David, turn off head bob, turn on subtitles, done.
Yeah, that's not a
Yeah.
bad.
That's
yeah,
probably
not a bad
that's probably a fair assessment. Yeah. So what I was going to say with the Series S is I'm conflicted because I think the Series S as a console itself is amazing. It gives people a cheaper price point to jump in on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like being able to get into current gen now for $500 at launch, get your Game Pass subscription and that, you know, takes
And be able to play it straight
Yeah.
away and like go with like cloud gaming and stuff.
My second question is if, you know, when we talk about stuff like Forza Horizon 5, the only things that I can think of that are affected are draw distance, which Series S is like much more noticeable than Series X. But how is it that, you know, AAA studios can build for the Series S and X and the Xbox One, whereas in these indie devs are struggling to get these games running?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting point, right? Where it's like you'd think that an independent developer would be happy developing for lower spec machines. To be honest, I mean, I
don't want to assume that they're just immediately just going like it's too hard,
or having to redo it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean,
some of these comments come across as like we put it in the too hard camp. We're not going to do it. Like, or we want an easier option.
So, the Iron Fish and Surgeon Simulator 2 developer claims that many studios are attempting to get Microsoft to drop the mandatory requirement. Studios have been through one development cycle where the Series S turned out to be an albatross around the next production, which is where the quote comes from. And now games are firmly being developed with new consoles in mind. Teams don't want to have to repeat the process, which I get, right?
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to have to develop a game 3 different times. But like I think, like you said, Cameron, I think the Series S fills a niche for Microsoft, right? It's like it's cheaper than the PlayStation. It gives you access to all the same games as such.
People in on the ground floor.
The other thing too is I don't think they necessarily should have to be locked. See, I want to say that they shouldn't have to be locked into it, but I'm just thinking of the problems that would arise from that.
Yeah.
But then, saying that at the exact same time is shooting yourself in the foot if you're a developer. Like, if you're just going to do the Series X, for example, you're still going to cut off like some of your profit.
Yeah. I don't know, Charlotte, what do you think? Because like you've only ever owned a Series X, right?
I mean, I for a brief second considered the Series S, and that was only in terms of affordability. That was it. That was the only thing I considered. And then when we were comparing them, it was like it was a no-brainer to get the Series X because of the performance. Like I don't think I was ever actually going to get the Series S. So for me, everything should be Series X in terms of like what I play and what I wanted it for. But I can get why people would want it for Series S. That makes sense. I just don't. I would never have bought it.
Yeah.
It would not have been my choice to buy it. So
it's honestly like such a good console.
I don't doubt that. I just, if I was gonna, like, I don't travel and play games. If I travel or go anywhere, I don't play games, or I take my Series X with me. Like when I go to Auckland, I take my Series X with me. It's not cumbersome. Like it's actually reasonably easy to put it in a backpack and take it away.
It's one of those things though. Like if you can afford the Series X, it is obviously the better of the two options. You go the Series X.
Yeah.
But if you like, I'm just trying to think of those little Timmy's asked to play Fortnite on a thing, and Xbox has just come out and said, we can do free to play without having to charge for gold and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you get little Timmy a 3-month Game Pass subscription for his birthday, and he's set for a few months, and you're all golden kind of scenario,
Yeah.
Do you think?
But is that versus like as an adult?
It depends on what kind of adult you are. If you're somebody who's regularly traveling for work, I would say like this is the best console you could get.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I think that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
In terms
I don't
of
think
lugging something around.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't think Microsoft can afford to split the difference, right? Because they're all the thing is Microsoft is already on the back foot in terms of their console sales. We literally know this from the filings, right? It's like a 3-to-1, basically in terms of how many PlayStations are sold to an Xbox. They can't afford to say, oh, you can only do, like you have to, you don't have to develop for the Series S, and it's like, well, then who's going to? I mean, indie developers are still developing for the last gen consoles because there's still a huge user base there, and the current gen consoles just don't exist, or they don't have enough of them out in the market for us to justify them putting a cutoff. I mean, even Sony hasn't been like obviously there's been this transition phase, and it was supposed to only be a year or two, but it's extended out quite a bit. Like, we're only just now seeing games that aren't coming out on the previous consoles. I mean, like, Plague Tale is one of the few.
Yeah.
And that's insane to me.
We'll start seeing them next year.
Like, the fact that it's taken that long for them to now suddenly.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
Because I feel like it should have gone next gen only way sooner.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
I mean,
what games would have done it? Like,
yeah,
Plague Tale is a good one to start it with, but like, what other games would have done it? Like,
and with Microsoft saying that they were committed to keeping their old consoles around for a bit longer, like, why would a third party not follow that lead? In terms of making more money, having the larger install base. Yeah, I'd be really curious to see. Again, we've talked a lot about how Microsoft has a lot of games in development at the moment that are kind of sitting there waiting. I'd be so curious to see how many of those actually come up to last gen consoles as well. And when I say last gen, I don't mean like streaming. I mean like actually running on the hardware. The other thing I just want to quickly talk about before we move on is the talk we did last week. I think it was about the stream. The sort of rumored stream box.
yes,
and obviously that'll come in at a much lower price point, I imagine. I wonder if that's kind of going to fill the Series S niche instead, where it's going to be like,
that
hey,
would make the most sense.
This is really cheap, and the streaming technology's gotten good enough that actually you might as well get one of these stream things on
and
the
then
low
just
end,
stop doing the Series S
and phase the Series S out basically as a console. I mean, because the Series S doesn't have discs on it, right? It's
no.
Series S is entirely a digital console.
Right. So yeah,
Which is great, but again,
saying that though, if developers stopped developing for the Series S so soon after buying,
it'd be
2 years, it would be a shitty situation.
For sure.
Bad.
Yeah, although I think the thing is that I think streaming is supposed to take up that a little bit, right? Because you even on the old Xbox One, you can still stream current gen games basically from the console.
The infrastructure is all Series X blades, so
exactly
that's fine. But
yeah, so it doesn't
same time,
really.
it's not.
Well, yeah, like it's great until it isn't, right? And I think that's there's still stuff that needs to be worked out there, and it's also not accessible to a large part of the world, which is very, very important to Microsoft.
All I'm saying is, if I bought a Series S this year and then got told like, all right, by the way, all these developers aren't doing it anymore because it's the too hard yard.
it's too hard. Yeah.
The only way you're going to be able to use that Series S as a streaming console, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I think it's weird to me that indies are weighing in, being like, this is too difficult, because that doesn't make.
That's what I said. Like, if AAA can do it, then realistically, look, if you're having difficulties, ask Xbox.
Yeah,
like there needs to be, provide that feedback. They said at the bottom of that article that, with the new game development kits, Certainly, Top View is beginning to gain traction as studios begin to drop last-gen compatibility for the games. Microsoft has attempted to increase the performance of the Series S by releasing a new game development kit that gave developers additional memory to play with.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, I think we'll move on, but I'm curious just to see, if anything else comes out about it, because it is a discussion, and we do definitely have thoughts around 60 FPS, 30 FPS, and kind of what games should be on what consoles.
Yeah.
Cameron, you had a story here about Design Lab controllers.
Just a quick update: the Design Lab controllers include the Elite Series 2 now.
Yes.
So
fantastic.
So you can be extremely annoyed in a year when your Elite Series 2 custom controller breaks down this time instead.
Yeah,
at least
so,
it'll look pretty.
It will look very pretty on the shelf. I sent my controller into Xbox to get replaced 5 weeks ago, and I called them yesterday, and they said they still haven't got an update. So I'm just gonna call them out here. It's been one of the worst customer experiences I've ever had in my entire fucking life. I bought the controllers in June. I got them in July. Sent it back in July because it was broken. Well, sorry, asked them to send me a slip to July. It took almost 2 months to get the packing slip because their service center was down. And they didn't tell me.
They changed their system.
They changed their system and didn't tell anybody about it, and they didn't tell me about it. So I just keep calling in like a fucking idiot. Once they finally got through to someone who could actually do something about it, they got it to me within the week, and I was like, great, got it, shipped it, and that was in September. Shipped it off September, I think it was 15th. Shipped it off. Supposed to be getting a refund. Supposed to be getting some extra free stuff for all the fucking bullshit I've had to put up with. Absolutely nothing. I've had to call them multiple times. None of them has been able to help me. It is a black hole for which no money will ever escape. So I'm at the point of nearly writing that money off, and it's unbelievably bullshit. So Xbox, on the off chance you fucking hear something about it, would be really nice if you actually did something. Because I've already gone ahead and bought another controller because you weren't going to replace the one that was broken. But you were supposed to give me a refund so I could afford to do so.
Pikatrek said my return went to junk and looked like a virus.
Yeah.
Have you checked your junk folder?
I have, yes. I have extensively checked my junk folder. I check my junk on a daily basis. Thank you very much.
Just for this reason.
Look, I'm not talking about in the shower. I'm talking about opening your email.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, I've got to make
We're
sure
all about hygiene.
Look, I have I have no viruses on my junk. Okay. All right. Next story we've got is this is a big one. I'm really interested in you guys' opinion on this. We've been talking for several weeks about the ongoing fight between Microsoft and Sony about the Activision acquisition and how Sony has basically said, "Oh, this is going to ruin us if they make this game exclusive." So it's just come out that apparently Call of Duty was blocked from being on Game Pass due to some sort of deal they had with Sony, according to Xbox.
Oh,
all right.
really?
Now,
funny that.
Can I just say,
who
the fuck did not see this coming?
Oh, of course. I mean, yeah, this was obvious, right?
It was really obvious. Like, how were they not going to see this coming? Like,
yeah, and we've kind of. We kind of put this together a while back, right? We were like, it is weird that there haven't been really any there's very few Activision games on Game Pass, let alone Call of Duty. But yeah, Microsoft revealed that there are certain restrictions in place that would stop Microsoft from putting Call of Duty on Game Pass, thanks to an existing deal between Sony and Activision. I know why Sony were I know Sony were fighting and being like, absolutely, no, this is going to ruin our business. If you put this on Game Pass, it'll ruin everything, blah, blah, if they make it exclusive. They knew this was going to come out, right? That was all just to get ahead of Microsoft being like, yeah, you guys have an exclusivity deal. Like you have a non-compete deal to try and cut out, to try and remove the competition from the business. The very thing you're saying that Microsoft is trying to do to you.
It just gets funnier every single time I hear this. Every single time the CMA gets quoted in something, it just gets funnier and funnier. Like even the other day about Facebook acquiring Giphy.
Yeah, right.
It's like, wow, such they won't let the sale go through because what? It's such a what was the wording that they used? Have you looked into it at all? Or?
I know. I heard that. I saw the headline. I know that they're being forced to sell it, basically.
All right, you keep going. I'm gonna find the fucking thing. It was I laughed so hard.
Yeah, I mean, like Microsoft accused Sony of paying for blocking rights to prevent developers from adding content to Game Pass and competing subscription service. Like they claimed that in the Brazil defense that they were talking about when that got brought up there. And this is just another one of those being like, yeah, here's a great fucking example. Call of Duty, one of the games that we're buying is basically has a non-compete not to be allowed to play on Game Pass. Which, if the deal does go through, that's what Microsoft's going to do, right? They'll chuck it onto Game Pass and go, yeah, actually, you can definitely definitely buy it on a PlayStation, but you've got to buy it for full price, or you can come over to Game Pass and get it for quote unquote free.
All right. The regulator said Meta would be able to increase its already significant market power by cutting off the supply of GIFs to rivals or demand more user data from them in order to keep using Giphy. It's just...
Wow.
No, my GIF pipeline.
My GIF pipeline.
Don't take my gifts away.
All right, as a social media marketer, I can understand to a point that, but still,
there are many
as
places.
in a sentence is so fucking. Oh, anyway.
Yeah, the CMA gifeth and the CMA taketh away.
The US what was the US regulatory body called? They called him out the other day about the whole Facebook deal, saying like, "Well, you haven't done your due diligence," and I feel like depending on which way the Sony Xbox stuff goes, it's gonna be the exact same story.
Yeah, well, there was some talk about how some of the claims made towards Sony felt very strange compared to, like you said, other businesses who've gone through similar things. And it feels like there was some sort of relationship there. It was an implied relationship there. Again, they didn't actually make any real accusations. But
even Switch 2 has that, family-friendly perceived image. So they don't include them in the race, even though like they've got double the amount of... they're sitting pretty much squarely in between both... Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah. So again, as always, we will keep you guys up to date with the other mudslinging that happens. It's some very interesting stuff that comes out of this. This is, as we always say, that the most interesting things that come out of the games industry is when you get into legal battles. This is one I chucked in here because I'm super excited about it, but it also sort of ties in. Silent Hill has they announced Konami, the Silent Hill publisher and developer. I have announced that there's going to be 4 new Silent Hill games. They're going to be rebooting the series.
Wait, 4 Pachinko machines?
Well, okay. There are 4 properties, and no, they're not necessarily Pachinko machines. But they're remaking Silent Hill 2, which is the fan favorite and the best one of the series by far.
To be a PS5 times exclusive.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Very interesting.
Funny that.
Yeah. They said, it's coming out for PC and PS5, and that was it. That's all they said. Obviously, it came out later that it's a timed exclusive, come out to other consoles in 12 months, which I'm excited about because I love that game. But no release date yet. Yeah. I know people are kind of losing their mind about it or whatever, because they slightly changed some of the dialogue or some of the faces. Because Silent Hill fans are neurotic. But I'm excited. I'm definitely going to play it, in a couple of years, whenever the hell it shows up.
Yeah, I was going to say when it hits Xbox.
When it
eventually gets there,
when it comes to Game Pass or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have either of you guys played Silent Hill 2?
I've never played Silent Hill. I know that there's a lot of love for it.
I mean, I watched the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Does it count?
Sure.
You know what?
It's going to be a new movie as well, so...
You know what I'm actually really excited for? The fact that 2023 is going to be a horror year. It's going to be Halloween games all year long.
Cameron, I hate to break it to you, but the last 3 years have been a horror year. It's been
what I mean. You know what I mean.
This is how it is. This is just how it is. Like, we used to
but
horror.
like Dead Space in Jan, Callisto Protocol December or February, depends if it gets delayed. What was that?
We're definitely getting Dead Space, yes.
Are we? Yes, I hope so.
Anyway.
I'm really glad that there's 2 horror games to look forward to in the beginning of the year, Cameron.
Yeah, that is pretty
Resident
cool.
Evil 4
like
remake.
That's March. It's true. I'm excited for that.
What else is there? There's plenty.
Yeah, so there's also going to be Silent Hill Townfall, which again is apparently like early in development. Not really much said about, but apparently Annapurna are going to be publishing it, so it looks like it might.
That's
be
the
more of
only
a-
reason I'm
We're
excited.
in for that. We love Annapurna.
Yeah. So I'm like,
Annapurna's
oh,
our go-to.
and I think that like that Annapurna's sort of publishing kind of pedigree for in terms of like that more narrative based experience, I think fits really well with the Silent Hill mythos.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, playing those games is a fucking chore. As much as I like, but because no one talks about how much they enjoy playing those games. They enjoy how much the atmosphere and the story and like everything about it and the symbolism. Pico Trick, Star Wars Survivor, and Starfield. Yeah, neither of those are horror games. Well, depending. Depends on how buggy they are at launch, I guess. Silent Hill Ascension, dubbed as an interactive streaming movie series the entirety community shapes the canon of Silent Hill. So everything's going to be named Bodie McBoatface.
Of course, yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of really, really terrible things said. But like it looks like it's going to be like I guess kind of like a Bandersnatch kind of like interactive streaming thing. So I'm curious to see what it is, but I don't know if it counts as a game, quote unquote.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like I'm keen either way.
I've got a list of games coming out next year now, and here's some more horror games. Alan Wake 2.
Yep.
Ill.
I don't know what that is.
Adam Infinitum, Sons of the Forest, Slitterhead, Silent Hill 2 remake, Dead Space, Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yep, already said those.
Did I say Alone in the Dark?
No, but that is a good one.
Stalker 2.
Not really a horror game, but
I mean, they're saying like State of Decay 3 and Stalker 2.
Just because it has zombies in it doesn't mean it's a horror
Texas
game.
Like
Chainsaw
I'll be
Massacre?
interested to see if I actually do get on any of these games because like I have been playing horror games at the moment because like, well, not really.
It's Scorn.
It's Scorn. I've been playing scarier games because it's October, and I'm like, I may as well, actually try. But they're not my type of games. I don't tend to go for that style of game. So I'll be interested to see if I actually do like any of them enough to play them. I tend to just go for the puzzles. So
yeah, right.
You guys,
that's my style.
You guys aren't excited for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game?
Not particularly, although it did look very funny. And then the last game before we move on is Silent Hill F, which I think got like leaked a little while ago.
There's Ascension as well, yeah, but that was the interactive streaming one.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah,
sorry, I missed it.
When I was short, yeah. And then so Silent Hill F, completely new story set in 1960s Japan, featuring a beautiful and horrifying world. Apparently, it's being written by someone who's famed for doing Japanese visual novels dealing with like murder mysteries and psychological and supernatural horror. So like a sort of Junji Ito kind of.
Okay.
Like I'm interested in that. That sounds really cool. Again, no release date or anything like that, but I'm super down for that. I mean, like it doesn't from a Silent Hill perspective, it makes no fucking sense. Because the whole point is that Silent Hill is a town in the US. But I'm curious to see kind of what this means. It does feel a little bit like they were just like, oh, hey, we've got this property and we've got a horror thing that we want to make. Let's just kind of slap Silent Hill on it. But again, we don't know much about it. I'll reserve judgment. But
that's the thing. A lot of these things feels like they put out a call to development teams and being like, here's the trademark. What's the best thing you can pitch to us for it? Yeah,
and actually, I know that Konami did do that. They're like, hey, pitch to us some of our property stuff and we'll outsource it to you guys because they obviously don't know how to make fucking video games anymore. I mean, shit. Like, look at the fucking Pachinko machines and fucking Metal Gear Survive. I think was the last thing they really did. It's all been pretty bad. But I love Silent Hill. I'm very, very excited. Curious to see where it comes from. I mean, like I understand why they're remaking 2 because 2 is the fan favorite, but the fact they started with 2 is fucking annoying.
Yep.
All right. What else do we have? I'm gonna skip that one. I'll just say, the regulator in the UK for the Xbox Activision deal is asking for public opinion to weigh in on it. So if you want
Dear
to spend...
CMA, I am deeply stressed out over the fact that Xbox may get my beloved Call of Duty games as exclusives. Yada yada yada.
I am upset.
As
How dare you let this go through?
Fear me as a consumer.
I will never shop with your brand ever again.
Oh no!
I mean, who wants to shop with the UK at the moment? Who's their current prime minister? Ahead of lettuce?
Definitely let us.
Boris Johnson again, apparently.
Oh dear,
dear.
Lord.
All right, and then the next story is Xbox apparently is looking to build some sort of mobile store to compete with Google and Apple, which kind of makes sense. They're kind of already halfway there in terms of like their Xbox store stuff.
It makes sense with them trying to purchase King.
Yeah, it's
Like,
true.
they
Actually,
want-
yeah.
Like, the reason I tracked this in is purely for the fact of the whole CMA discussion and all that. Like, as much as a big get COD is, like, King is a fucking massive get as well. And
That is the big reason for the deal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And like Microsoft's actively talked about, like, you know, Google and Apple being their biggest competitors, not just Sony. Like, Sony is only Xbox's competitor.
True, and like
It's
how
just like one player in like the big game.
and how I think what Phil Spencer said in that interview, I think it was with Bloomberg, right? They were like, he said, he's like, yeah, mobile is the main reason for the acquisition. That's like on paper, that's the one that makes the most money.
Yeah.
And having
It's true.
The company is motivated by a desire to grow its creative capability on non-console platforms, particularly mobile.
Yeah, and if they don't have to give a 30% cut to Apple or Google, is a win for them in their books, right? Why wouldn't they?
They want to market to your your Candy Crush mums.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is.
And then this last one I just chucked in here is the Plague Tale Requiem dev basically says that it doesn't look like they've got a third game currently planned.
Yeah.
Not, again, this isn't really news as such, but it is interesting for them to come out and say, yeah, this current game that we came out with, yeah, we don't know what the sales numbers are because it literally just came out, so we haven't decided if we're making another one yet.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they say the exact same thing about 2?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, well, about 1. Yeah, basically,
Sense,
yeah.
though. Why
I
would
mean,
you
like,
even
1
prep for it until you knew more? Like,
right. To be fair, this is a bit of a clickbaity headline because they were like, they said, I think for now it's the end, but the door's never closed. We'll see the player reception. Want to see their reaction before deciding anything. They're driving up production, and if they don't like what we've done, we need to do something else. Yeah, no shit. Again, like this is like water is wet, of course. But I just wanted to. It's interesting that they just kind of got called out. People were like, "Hey, Plague Tale 2 is great. Where's the next one?" And they're like, "Motherfucker, we literally just put this out. Like,
and
how about you just
chill? Like,
back in
let
August,
people play it first. Like,
back in August, PC Games SN, a Plague Tale Requiem was not a given after Innocence. Plague Tale Requiem was not planned during the development of Innocence, says Asobo Studios' Kevin Pinson in a Gamescom interview about the upcoming Rat game.
Yeah, and exactly right. So I think this is just a case of them going in, being like, if we've got a story to tell and people want to buy it, we'll make another one. But like David points out in the chat, yeah, the first game didn't really end on a cliffhanger. It left relatively open, right? And I will say that the second game, I've finished it. There's directions they could take it if they wanted to, you know, like it's a nice end to the story, but they, you know,
1 million rats.
They well, you know, they had the classic post-credit scene where they were like, okay, yeah, you could turn this into a more of a series if you want to do another one or do you know, different characters in the same universe, whatever they want to end up doing. But I think this is just a situation of a AA dev being like, yeah, we can't afford to go and being like, we need to sell 10 million copies of this, and we're good because it needs to be a trilogy. It's like, hey, if it sells well, we'll do another one, which is fucking how it should be. You shouldn't go in being like, yeah, we're absolutely going to make enough money to turn this into a trilogy, because then you end up with Anthem or something like that, right? Where you shit the bed on the first game, and then the series is done because you were like, oh, well, we saved half of ideas for the sequel. And it's like, well, fucking, there isn't going to be one. So, But yeah, I don't think there's much to say there. I just wanted to point out the fact that this is a story going around, which is, yeah, exactly. I had to say exactly the same thought. I was like, I'm pretty sure this happened last time too. Because people were like, oh, wow, this game's actually good.
That clickbait article for the sake of article to get views.
Yeah.
Because it's getting traction.
All right. Game Pass stuff. Cameron, what do we got?
We have A Plague Tale Requiem, Amnesia Collection, Amnesia Rebirth, Phantom Abyss, Soma, Persona 5 Royal, Signaris, Gunfire Reborn, and Frog Detective all coming out. Gunfire Reborn, Frog Detective 27th. Other than that... Oh, and Signaris, sorry. And then everything else is already out.
Yeah.
In terms of
Okay.
leaving, we have Alan Wake American Nightmare, Backbone, which you can do in roughly 5 hours with the Welsh Hunter's Guide.
And also try to do it without stopping. Like, don't take any pauses. Just
Try
play it.
not to.
Yeah.
Try not to. Yeah, like if you can avoid it, if you can do it in one sitting, do it in one sitting, just
Okay.
in case.
Bassmaster Fishing 2022, Non-Guns Doppelganger Edition, Project Wingman, Second Extinction, Sniper Elite 4, and The Forgotten City. If you're short on time, I highly recommend The Forgotten City out of any of those games.
100%.
It's like, what, 6 to 8 hours?
I mean, shit, if you use a guide, you can fly through it much faster than that, and you skip all the dialogue if you're really booking it. But I highly recommend you actually take some time
Do it
if you
properly,
have it, because it's a great game.
And the only other one on that is like, I really like Project Wingman. I want to go back to it before it leaves.
I wish I had time because I do like the flight stuff. But
It's like very polished for a flight thing. The only problem, like at launch, it had broken achievements, but they're all been fixed.
That's right. Yeah, I know that. I think Aftos did it, and he had a really good time with it as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which I think is part of the reason he's playing Chorus at the moment.
Yeah, I think it is too.
All right. You have It's Scorn written here,
it's
Cameron.
Scorn time. I thought
It's Scound!
because all three of us have played it, we just jump into our
Yeah. Like I haven't finished it, so please don't do major spoilers, but we can definitely go for it.
Okay.
I'm just like, can you spoil Scorn? Is the question.
Probably not.
Because-
Just don't tell me about the puzzles.
No,
is
no,
what
I
I'm
won't say
saying.
about the puzzles. It's just
Also, before we go ahead, I just want to point out David in chat says, "Is Project Wingman the game where you help your friend pick up chicks at the bar?" I
no,
wish it was.
That is
I
Super
would
Seducer.
play that.
I wish it was coming
Yeah.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not
I wish that would come to Xbox.
Yes, no, but this is a different kind of horror game.
very different.
All right. Ground rules. Are we allowed to talk about what we interpreted things as?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's
Cool.
fine. I'm just saying, don't the puzzles, because I want to still do the puzzles on my own, because I am still working through it.
To be fair, we would probably spend way too much time trying to describe the puzzles to even ruin them anyway because they're all levels and shit. So.
But yeah, like going on about what we think, what like interpretation. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm up to the boss in the penis temple.
Yes, he is up to the boss in the penis temple.
All right. Where do we begin with Scorn?
One, the art style, because that is why I'm playing it.
All right. I really
it's
do that
H.R.
style.
Geiger style.
Yep.
It's not his work, but it is his style.
Heavily inspired. yes.
It's
Heavily.
It's that and who's the other one?
Stick.
There's two different people. One's like did drawings around
yeah, I know who you're talking about, but yes.
like mechanical
But-
and all that kind of stuff, yeah?
Yeah, but it all comes from H.R. Geiger. So he was the first to do this style of biomechanical, and he designed what we know as Alien.
Yeah,
With the
original
long
Alien.
head, he designed that. He died in 2014, but he's Czech.
Yeah.
And amazing. And all of his artwork is science fiction, fantasy, occult, and macabre. And he's done like zodiacs in the same kind of style, that biomechanical stuff. And I even have like a tattoo that is like it's one of his pieces of artwork. So like for me, that's like why I'm playing this game.
Yeah.
He even did the Necronomicon as a book. So he's actually done the Necronomicon, and he's like, it's his artwork and things like that. So he's very heavily in that macabre, devils, guts and gore, and everything always has a penis or a vagina. Always.
There's a lot of.
Every
It's like very
piece of
sexualized,
artwork.
yeah?
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
I mean,
very.
like
But
Alien.
that's his art style.
The other one I just looked it up. It was I'm probably butchering this name. Zizlaw Beskinski, Polish painter, photographer, and sculptor specializing in the field of dystopian realism. Surrealism, sorry.
Can you send it to me in the chat? I just want to have a look.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
I enjoyed my time with Scorn for the most part.
Yep.
It is a short game that does not overstay its welcome, which is
Mhm.
good. I felt like if it was any longer than it was, I would have docked points off it. I would not have been happy with it. I think it's the perfect length. And they like, again, depending on how quickly, like if you speed run it, you know there are solutions. You can do it in like 2 hours. But
2 hours is like the quickest, and then 5 to 6 is the average.
Yeah, 5 to 6 is probably about right.
Yeah.
So I think I did it in like a couple settings. Atmosphere wise, and like music and like the design is in fucking credible.
Just the creepy feeling of it all too.
It captures that feeling perfectly. It's oppressive and claustrophobic and confusing and just kind of horrifying on a real visceral kind of level without being like overly gratuitous. I mean, there's definitely some like squick stuff in there, but like it's not quite like it's not as like not as gratuitous as I was expecting it to be.
It's not as so it's not as much. There's not as much gore as I thought there was going to be. There is, but it's like it's actually minimal, to be honest. Like I was going on about the flesh tunnels and things like that when I was streaming it, and going, I have to run through all these flesh tunnels, which I find hilarious. But they were like, it wasn't like they were like oozing or anything like that. Like when you think about it being like grotesque, you think of things being moist and damp and like blood oozing everywhere, right? And it's not like that. It doesn't like everything's reasonably dry, which is a weird concept, especially when it's bio. Like
it's not just like, you know, you're inside the grave mines fucking opening anuses from Halo 3. It's like it has like a real mix between like that biomechanical way like Alien. Like I mean it is
and
very much
instead of using like metal, they're using bone.
Yeah, and like flesh and it's very like I really love like looking at it and talking about it and stuff. The game controls like absolute fucking shit. The combat is so terrible.
I hate the pistol. I hate it. I hate it. Fucking hate it.
The game, to me, was trying to be two different things at once. I loved up until I say like there's a halfway point where the puzzles just cease to exist, essentially.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah. And then the puzzles becomes the combat.
Okay.
Somewhat. Yeah.
I felt like leaving it. I'm just like atmospherically, like love the game and all that. Love the imagery and everything associated in that regard. I didn't like the level design. Level design is trash in my opinion.
It
reminded me of Myst.
Confused. You saw how confused I was getting with that map, and I'm like, I should not be getting this confused.
Yeah, like part of it is intentional. There are a lot of like dead hallways and like looping stuff that doesn't really help. And like I understand from like a perspective of like cinematically and like thematically, it's supposed to be like, you know, confusing and you're kind of stumbling your way through it and figuring stuff out. But the signposting is not great.
Yeah. I used I essentially used the Cheetah's guides.
Right.
I got to the puzzle. I paused it. I figured out the puzzle myself because I actually really enjoy the puzzles in Scorn. Up until like the combat areas, and then the puzzles just cease to exist except for like one round of the key one, I think.
Yeah, because it gets quite.
I think there's like the key puzzle after that, and then the lift, and that's like it.
Well, yeah, there's the one where you got to like match up the lights to turn it on, and then there's like to be fair, there is basically no combat in the final area. There is almost no combat except for the quote unquote boss or the last the kind of
the boss fight in the fence.
There's
Fuck, that's
so it's like
such weird.
But there's one like the third act part where you need to like find all the switches and find the keys and stuff. There's so much combat there that is terrible. The weapons are bad.
And like the combat only exists in that space though to slow you down.
Basically, to stop you.
It's not enjoyable.
I'm finding that taking it out for me because I really enjoy the puzzles. I'm actually really enjoying going through it, even if I'm getting a little bit stuck occasionally. But that's just me hitting my head against the wall.
The first two levels, quotation marks, I would say if that was the entirety of the game, this would be like an 8 out of 10 experience for me.
Yeah, I feel like if it was like 1, 2, and 4, like that end, I think the ending bit's really good, but the third
take out the boss out of the end bit and like make it a puzzle experience. That would have been a much cleaner experience for me. It's the combat that ruins the rest of the game.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I feel like My biggest problem with this game is that there's combat in it at all. Because it feels like the combat is bad, and you're not really supposed to engage with it.
They still could add the weapons and incorporate it into the puzzles and
something like that, maybe. But I think the other problem with it is that there is also no stealth options to get around the combat.
Yeah, like you kind of have to run, and you take the risk of getting hurt.
Yeah,
which is where I'm at, right? Like, because I get really frustrated because currently I'm stuck where I have no bullets at all. I am down to like no recharge on my health, and I have like minimal, like 2 bars or something like that, and I have to literally just have to run, but I have to time it now because I can't recover that health. So I'm kind of stuck, and it's almost forcing me to like
the fact that they've got finite
go back
health and ammo at all,
like if you're gonna put combat in the game, make it easier to get health again. Like, the fact that I can't actually just go back to the machine and get more health is fucked. That's fucked.
Yeah, like David said, like you could quite easily soft lock yourself if you're not careful. And, like,
I'm kind of already there.
I nearly got into a situation that was that bad, but I was lucky to kind of get out of it. I found a way out, but it was like I was like, wow, this actually might be it for me. Like I might have to restart this level.
That's why I was glad I used a guide for like especially the combat sections, because like Cheetah will tell you like, all right, this one we're just gonna mad dash past this way. You know, pause your game, watch the video like 10-15 seconds ahead, so you follow the direction I'm going and you can skip past these 3 enemies. Because the spitting enemies too.
They're with the acid.
The little ones, especially because they spit so fast.
I'm okay with the tanks.
And you can't really run around them because they block your path, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Can you get out of the way, please?
And you also can't stealth away around them because they'll always see you.
I'm okay with the tanks. Some enemies you can just wait till leave the area and that's fine, but yeah, for the most experience, it was just like
okay. Would we agree that this game would be better as like a just puzzle walking simulator mist?
If this was,
well, it is basically already there. But yes, without the combat, take the combat out, put more puzzles in, give me that, and put it horror. Done.
Yeah, first-person horror mist game. That's what I essentially thought this was for the most bit. Even though we like the combat, like the reloading and all that's like satisfying to me in a way, because you don't see like gun reloads and that like that, but I feel like it was just chucked in for the sake of like having another marketing selling point.
So I enjoyed it for the most part, but it is very much like a 6.57 out of 10. Like
it's not
I said
high
3
on
out of
my
5
list for me.
Yeah, I think it could have been so much better without the combat. You know, like if they're taking the combat out, chuck a few more puzzles in, make it a bit more interesting. I mean, hell, like if they want to turn it into like
people shouldn't play it. People should.
Yeah, people should.
Because it is still good. Now, it's just there's issues with it.
This is also one of those games though that makes me think of like, thank God Game Pass is a thing, because like fuck paying $60 for this.
Yeah, that would have been ridiculous. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. The last thing I want to ask is, obviously Charlotte hasn't finished the game yet, but like, how did you interpret the story?
I have no idea. I didn't interpret it any way. I just literally went from...
know what the story is?
I
don't know yet.
I went from A to B. I have no idea what the story is. I finished the game. I saw the ending, and I didn't understand anything that happened the whole time it played through. And I was like, okay.
That, like, with the stomach kind of thing and all that, I think it was, like, meant to be, like, a symbol of, like, this is life. You have your kids, pump them out. Like, that's a cycle of life. You're just part of the hive. Like that.
Okay,
I mean,
so is it just like, because H.R. Geiger designed his most famous piece of work aside from Alien is called the Birth Machine.
Yeah, I think it was the Birth Machine. I essentially think
you literally think it's gameplay of the Birth Machine.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah,
I think it's very much a case of
I can see that.
I'm not sure how far you're in, but like the clawing at your stomach.
Yeah, I'm up to that part. The guy that's like
on your back,
parasite that's on my back clawing into me.
So I think that's like meant to be representative of like society's expectations of women and that kind of stuff as well. Like especially of like women are seen as these people of like, you have a baby, you like, society's what's the right word?
Viewpoint, yeah.
Yeah, I guess
I get
society's expectations of women.
Yeah.
That's how that story felt to me.
I could see it. honestly, like I'm a fucking idiot. So it's like it just kind of just was like, okay, this is a cool, interesting, weird environment that I'm just gonna wander through and do the puzzles. I didn't really care much about the story at all. Again, for those who haven't played it, there's nothing, there's no dialogue, there's nothing written down, there's literally nothing to read. It's all contextual and all it's all allegorical. You just need to kind of figure it out.
It's what too? It's really like a pretty tech demo.
Yeah, it's
in
true.
a way?
Yeah. It is like as a
sounds
proof of
harsh.
concept. I'm okay with that though. Like
Yeah.
you are like we
It's
are
an experience.
we are past the time where you get shit on for making a walking simulator. You're allowed to make a walking simulator with puzzles. That's totally okay. You don't have to put combat in. You don't have to make it a big thing. It can just be to show off
Just commit to the idea.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
David points out it's not as bad as Agony. Exactly. That was the other problem with Agony, right? Is that was a stealth game. They kind of tried to do something similar, but it was technically a fucking mess. Whereas this is like the other end where it was like they kind of tried to put combat into it where it didn't really belong. What else have you been playing then, Cameron?
All right. So in terms of stuff that I've been playing, quick mention, Cold Lamb, fucking tarot card achievement, fucking finally got fixed. As soon as I jumped on, I could not find a single fucking spider room for the life of me. Took me like an hour to get that achievement, but once I finally found the spider, he's just like, hey, old friend, you're like my favorite customer. Here, have this last achievement you've been waiting 2 months on. I'm like, thank you, buddy. I'm uninstalling you now. Goodbye forever. But
That's sad.
I really
They'll do DLC.
Yeah, I really
They will.
hope.
And like the thing is, I'm gonna keep it installed forever. I love that game.
I really hope that they do DLC because it's such an amazing game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got Cold of the Lamb done. With it, I was just feeling like getting games done at the start of the week. Boyfriend Dungeon got done because fuck, that has some ratio.
Yeah, it does.
Like fucking like nearly 6K. Like, are you kidding?
It left Game Pass.
Because it left Game Pass and it got
an update.
DLC. Yeah.
In terms of the update, it was alright, I guess.
It's fine.
Like, like it just
Like, I've
felt like
played
an
it.
extension of the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine for them to do that. Don't really have any issues.
Scientist check is my type. Just putting that out there. But
got you.
No, I'm not even commenting.
I'm
on
not.
that.
I'm not
It's a
saying
lot.
nothing.
Unobtainable.
So what you?
I
thought the scientist type was
Untouchable,
Kirby's type.
unwieldable.
Yeah, well, that's I like strong women.
Again.
What can I say?
Again, untouchable, unwieldable.
Look, I will say in that
Chains
final
and
scene,
whips excite me.
in that final scene, she's like, you can lead her, I can lead her, and like
Yeah, but she's still not gonna let you touch her.
but she's a switch, so that's fine. Anyway,
Unwieldable. Just saying.
you don't
Sucker for punishment.
I mean, that is kind of true. I mean,
Anyway.
I'm an achievement hunter. Of course, I'm a
Abuse.
sucker for punishment.
So Backbone, I started that. I got like an hour in, and then I just was really tired. I've been tired like so much this week, like trying to get past this flow, and then just everything else that's been going on. 2 games that I do really want to talk about though. Forza Horizon 5, the anniversary update was really good, but then I ended up going back to do the Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels DLC was shit compared to 3.
It was not great. Yeah.
Like it just felt so. I don't want to say unnecessary, but like 3 just had like the benchmark set here. 5's benchmarks like here.
I thought it was fine, but yeah, I agree with you. Like it wasn't anything special.
Yeah. The anniversary update too, that was great, but it was just too short. It's just one of those things that I finished it off and I was like immediately, I want to do more of this. Like these cars are amazing. The only problem I had with it, jumping back into Forza Horizon 5, all my settings are messed up.
Oh.
And I don't know why. Like it felt as if I'd put like a drag settings on and swapped it, and I'm just like, something's saved here weird. But you only got the Eliminator to go?
Just the Eliminator is all I got left. Yep, just got to win one of those. I've bashed my head against it a few times this week, but no luck. I think I got 3rd most recently. So.
And then the new game that I've been playing today that is probably going to be somewhat of an addiction for me is Vampire Survivors. Because
I've heard a lot of good things about this game before it came out.
Yeah,
I need to know more about this because I don't actually know anything.
Okay, so Vampire Survivors I heard about. Obviously, like we're doing Nightcrawlers at the moment for publishing, yeah?
Yeah.
And somebody told me a few months ago, like, oh, like Nightcrawlers has that auto battling aspect that's similar to Vampire Survivors. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's that? And then so I started seeing all these trailers pop up for Vampire Survivors, which is essentially like 2D sprite on a plane, but it's an auto battler. And all you're doing is essentially like curving your way through enemies while the attacks just, attack automatically. And it's very much one of those kind of like survive as long as you can kind of games. But it is addicting as fuck. Like, it's such a simple concept, but the gameplay loop is that solid. I played like 3 matches just starting off today, and then I was like, oh, okay, I got like 20 minutes in. That's pretty solid. Did the second map. My highest level was 23, then immediately just jumped up to like 75. And yeah, it's very enjoyable. The 1.0 release has 140 achievements, to which I'm like somewhere between 30 and 40. But it's like getting relics for a level, mixing certain... you've got like your attacks and your secondaries. So like if you do Magic 1 upgrades, they'll add like an extra projectile. And then you can mix it with... I can't remember what the other relic is, but it makes like a more powerful one. And then it's just blending them all at the same time to just get through these different maps and progress. But then has the roguelike element of like just slowly upgrading with coins as well. And then there's like a whole bunch of different characters that you can play with that start off with a different main weapon. There's achievements tied to certain ones for lasting like more than 30 minutes. It's very much one of those games that, like, if you had a Steam Deck, this would be like amazing to like sit down like that. It's PC Game Pass at the moment. I don't think it's cloud gaming, but like if this does come to cloud gaming, this is going to be like one of those fun things that you just play on the bus for a little bit and then pause. Like it's one of those like really mindless games that you just sucks like a little bit of time out of your day.
Okay.
But yeah, really enjoyable. I think there's currently one achievement that is apparently unobtainable, or somebody in the community has reported as unobtainable. But like the game only just came out yesterday, so it is like one of those things as well. But yeah, I'm probably gonna keep on with it. Probably gonna get Backbone done this week, and then I'm probably going to start Far Cry 6.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And the story about Far Cry 6 is I want to get it done because Nikita's late pop bought it for me for Christmas last year.
Yeah.
And I want to do it as a tribute for him.
Yeah. Which is good.
But yeah.
Is that all? Anything else?
Nah, that's it.
Cool. Charlotte?
I've only really been playing 2 games at the moment. I'm kind of in a bit of a gaming slump. We're getting there, but it's a little bit tricky. Everyone sort of goes through it. It's fine. I'm just waiting till I can actually play for fun again rather than actually feel like I'm stressed about it. Scorn, of course. I've been playing that on stream, which I'm really enjoying, and I'm hoping that that's going to be the game that I finish probably end of the weekend, maybe start of next week. I did want to start Resident Evil 7, but I'm having trouble getting it to actually play on my alt. Now, the reason I want to play it on my alt is because I was going to stream it, and I wasn't ready to start doing it on my main yet, and I kind of want to run through it twice. It's the kind of game that I do want to do more than once, especially because it's Resident Evil. I'm going to do 8 as well eventually. But for some reason, it just will not play on my alternate account at all. It just doesn't. So it's like, no, you play on your main account or you don't play at all. So I'm just waiting on that one. I am going through Costume Quest 2 at the moment. So I'm trying to get that one complete before the end of the month, before the end of October. So that's the one I'm focused on at the moment. I'm really enjoying it. I had only played like the first little bit to where you first go in and you have to honk the horn at the crocodile to get the achievement for honking it 1,000 times. So I had only popped one achievement in the game so far, and I've now popped another 3, and I'm loving it. I love the fact that it's Halloween. I'm kind of playing it in October. I get to run around in costumes and change the costumes up. I'm getting better at the combat. I think the only part that I'm finding a little bit tricky is that without the walkthrough, I'm getting stuck on like how to complete all the quests and how to find everything, and it's definitely much easier with the walkthrough. And then The Walking Dead, I have started the Telltale collection. So I'm prepared for a long run with that one. It has set me back to, I think, like 68% completion percentage, but I'm going to work through it and just bring that back up again.
You say the collection?
Yeah, the full one. It's got all of them in it.
You know how close I, like, just thinking
Yeah.
of Telltale right now, how close
Yeah.
I was to buying the new Tales from the Borderlands game yesterday?
Mm.
$70. But EB didn't have any copies in stock.
Oh,
Too
that's a
expensive
shame.
for my blood. I wait for it to go down in price to come out the game.
Yeah.
I think it's probably going to be the case now.
Anything else,
that's me.
Charlotte?
No,
Cool.
that's me.
Costume Quest is fucking fantastic. Both of them are really good. I love Double Fine. They make so many great games.
Yeah,
I
about
do like Double
stacking
Fine.
too.
Hell yeah.
Restacked.
Stack harder. So I've been playing quite a bit this week. So Backbone, as everyone's been playing it, so I got my last achievement in that. I had a couple of delayed pops that were really worrying, but everything worked out in the end. Thank you, Welsh Hunter, for your guide.
Are you going to check out the another one that Eggnut are doing? They're making another
maybe.
Backbone game.
Oh, are they? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll probably check that out. The story in that game is fucked.
Yep.
I did Scorn, like we've talked about. I also did Archvale, which is a sort of twin-stick shooter Zelda-light game where you go around in dungeons and just beat the shit out of things, do some really basic puzzles, and collect items and equipment. Really sort of, don't need a guide for it. You just kind of wander around the squares on a map and just kind of explore things. I wish it was a little bit more Zelda-y with its like puzzles and kind of secrets. There are really no secrets in the game. It's basically just like walk forward, kill enemy, continue. But, it was a good mindless game while I was waiting for other things to come out. Also did Beacon Pines on Charlotte's recommendation because I know she absolutely loved it. Yeah, definitely has that Stranger Things vibe. Choose your own adventure. I love the dialogue. I love the story. It's all very interesting.
Cutesy.
Yeah, it is. It has some interesting undertones as well. Yeah, I had a great time playing through it. Definitely recommend it. You don't really need a guide for it for the most part because you can always go back and do stuff. But yeah, definitely recommend it. And then the main thing that I've been playing, I said this week, I started it last night, I think. Or
Persona.
What? No, I have not started Persona. It just came out today.
I know.
It did just come out.
I have it
and
installed.
It
Have
depends
we heard
on whether
from
you're
Valak
wanting to do it
today?
out of order. No, he's playing them in order, so he will not be
Okay.
starting it until it's in order.
Yeah, so I'm going to start 5 as soon as I'm done with this game, which is A Plague Tale Requiem. So I was waiting for it, and Charlotte mentioned it. It reminded me that the game had come out, and I said, "Fuck it, we'll just start it, and I'll try and get it done, and then start Persona afterwards." This game is fucking great. It is more of the same in a very like Gears of War 2 to Gears of War 1 style, where they were like, "Here's a really good concept. Let's just expand on it. New weapons, new enemy types, new environments, new puzzles." The game in scope is much bigger than I was expecting. One of the main complaints about the first game was that the stealth felt quite restrictive, whereas here you have a lot more options. Also, it's much harder. Enemies spot you a lot easier, but in terms of like the stealth is harder, the combat is easier because you can put on like easy mode. You can put on like no death mode. Like there's a lot more in terms of accessibility, but the enemies spot you from further away. They've got more tools to fuck you up with. But you've also got more things to mess with them as well. Like you learn some other like rat abilities. You get the crossbow at some stage. I really enjoyed the story. Not a huge fan of the ending. I won't go into it, obviously, at all. But
She married a rat.
It's not yet. No.
Okay. Actually, there's one thing I want to add about this too. Also, if you're playing this game, she's 15. Don't fucking the Twitter threads.
Wait, what?
Don't lose me.
Okay, I don't want to know about this.
You don't loot a Misi. You don't need to do
It's
that.
like
Yeah.
looting a
She-
lolly.
she-
Please
she's a
don't.
child.
Please don't.
It's like, what the fuck?
I mean, I know she's French, but like, calm down.
Oh,
I think that like, I really enjoy playing through it. My biggest problem is that you need to do a second playthrough to get all the achievements, unfortunately. So I'm doing a new game plus now. There is instead of, they've simplified some of the systems. So now when you're crafting, your crafting system you don't have to have different materials. You just need material and tools, and that's it. So you're not like, oh, I don't have string or I don't have leather or whatever. It's just like, if you have a number of materials and you have tools, and then of course there's the upgrade where you don't need tools, you just need materials.
Okay, that's good.
What I would advise to do is, like, I don't have all my things upgraded by the end of the game. New Game Plus will carry that across, but there's also not a New Game Plus. So if you don't get everything in your second playthrough, you're fucked.
Okay, so you have to get it on your second playthrough.
So what I advise you do is don't upgrade anything you can avoid. Get as much materials as possible. Upgrade one thing, load your checkpoint. Upgrade one list, load your checkpoint. Just do that for each of the weapons or gear, because you get an achievement for each of them.
So it's not an unlock all situation.
No, thankfully, no. It's an unlock everything in this tree, and there's only like 3 per tree.
Do you know how many materials you need to get before?
I think you need like 165 or something along those lines. Wait till you get the crossbow, because the crossbow is also one. Once you get the crossbow and you have enough, I think it's like chapter 5 or 6, sort of like up towards the end of the first act.
Yeah.
That's kind of where you want to do that. So that's just the other system they have in the game is you have new skills that you learn. Instead of using like skill points, it's basically based around how you deal with enemy encounters. So if you kill very few enemies, you get better stealth abilities. If you kill like half the enemies in a group, you get some stuff around alchemy and some like stuff around crafting to make like your crafting quicker and easier. And then if you kill like all the enemies in the area, you get like aggression skills and allow you to push people into fire pits and that kind of stuff. So it increases by how you play. But there aren't enough encounters in the game to get all 3 of them maxed out. So I have like all 3 of them kind of like 75%. So I'm going to be focusing in this next playthrough to basically max them out by trying to focus each encounter by how many enemies you kill.
So it's not possible at all to get all the achievements in one playthrough?
No. So I have literally every achievement except for maxing out each of those 3 skill trees.
Damn it.
You could like focus on one skill tree and get it maxed out if you wanted to, but I would not advise it. I would try and even them out, just because there are some situations where you just won't be able to kill everyone and you just will get, anyway. Also, yes, don't use daggers to kill people, as David points out. You need the daggers for opening secret chests. So there are 10 of them.
Okay.
Use a collectible guide. PowerPix has a good one that you could just follow. Like, I didn't use the main walkthrough. I just used this collectible guide to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And I got all the achievements by the end of it.
But will that 75% pass over?
Yes, yes, it will. Everything like that passes over. So your gear level and your skill level pass over as well. But you won't be able to get more skill until like the second chapter. The game is like...
Sorry, you go.
The game is 17 chapters long. There is a lot of game here.
Yeah.
Holy. Bigger than the original.
Yeah, although the original was not a small game by any means, right? Like, there's a lot,
but that's still bigger than the original.
The original was like what, 10 hours, and this is like 15 to 16, yeah?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like I was up till 4 a.m. playing it this morning. It's great. I fucking loved it. It does definitely speed up towards the end. But yeah, it's like I highly recommend it. It's got a few, like, it's technically it's still a little bit janky at times. And sometimes you feel like the stealth kind of like, you're like, come on, like obviously you shouldn't be able to see me from there. But like whatever, I had a great time playing through it. This will probably be on my game of the year list. I fucking loved it. Story wise, I have opinions. I'd love to do a spoiler cast at some stage. We probably will, actually, because I'm assuming all of us will play it.
I plan to do them when I get the chance. Better, worse, or same as Innocence? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Just good, better, or same?
I think it's probably... I think it's better. I think it's slightly better. I think that Innocence has a better structure to it. In terms of like it's quite
pacing, story, that kind of stuff.
The pacing's a little bit better. This game has good pacing for the most part though, but it feels like because it has an expanded scope, like you're like, oh, I feel like, normally in Innocence it would be like, oh, 2 enemies encounters and then some story. Now it's like 4 enemy encounters and then some story. So like there's a bit more to it. Which is fine because like the gameplay is still fun to play and you have a lot of options. I I just feel like it's definitely a larger game, and there's an area like right like in the second act, towards the end of the second act, there's like an open world area that you explore for like part of a quest. It's like I was like, what is this doing in this game? Like I was blown away. Visually, it's incredible. This is one of the best looking games I've seen in a very long. Innocence was a good looking game, right? And it kind of came out of nowhere and ended up on game of the year list for people. This is the same, where it's like they've just upped it. The biggest problem though, doesn't run at 60, and there's no option to. And it's pretty like, again, I get over it, right? Whatever. I play shit all the time. I
imagine that would be one of those things though that they would probably like patch in later on.
I mean, if they could patch it in, that'd be great. This game deserves to be played at 60, just like Innocence was.
Yeah. Because
but,
I don't think Innocence was 60 at launch.
No, well, I don't believe it was.
I think it was up.
They did like their 4K 60 patch for Series X, I believe. Yeah. So this game looks better, sounds better. Like it is a vast improvement in terms of, from a technical perspective, but they just didn't hit that 60, which is really unfortunate. There are a lot of rats on screen. They definitely get their mileage out of the like.
They're like, we're gonna actually rat this up.
Tsunami of rats, man. They're like the amount of times that the camera is facing you and you're running away from a wave of rats. They do that a lot. Like there's a lot of rats in this fucking game. There's a lot of stuff that I'm just like, I want people to play through it. It does feel like it drags just maybe just a little bit in terms of some of the later stuff where it's like, okay, like I kind of just want to get to the story. Like I don't really feel like I need to do all these puzzles, but that's what the game is. It's a mixture of puzzles, story, and combat and exploration. Highly, highly recommended. I think it's a strong like 8, 9 out of 10 game. It's fantastic.
Cool.
And no window stack for it, unfortunately, but I think it's just
that'll come.
I quickly just wanted to go to Backbone for a second because I found the original article talking about the sequel. While fans are now speculating on Eggnut's Twitter feed about what the game will be, the only thing Eggnut has revealed is that we can't tell you whether it's a sequel, prequel, or a racing game just yet, but please know that it's more gay.
Okay, all right, sure, why not?
So I was like, all right, cool.
Okay.
From what I've played Backbone already, it's been amazing. So
yeah, first 2 or 3 acts of Backbone are really good, and then it jumps the fucking shark towards the end.
Okay.
All right. And that's me. Charlotte, you want to go to our leaderboard?
Yeah. So let me just bring it up. In third place, we have MC Panda Gamers with 6,015 gamer score. In second place, we have Mad Mike Forever with 7,010. And in first place, we have Thrash Forever with 11,250.
Thrash is doing a good job.
How is Panda even up there with all that Valorant he's been playing?
Because he still plays a lot of trash.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
He's still working on getting to that 800,000. So, like, it's not surprising.
I mean, I guess those visual novels aren't going to complete themselves.
No, exactly.
Well, in some cases they will, but
not in this case.
Yep.
And then for completions for the week, we have the Moon Zoom, who finished Halo MCC, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Baron von Neumann finished Beacon Pints. Firehawk D completed Grey Skies. Rapture completed some baby games, but he also did Echo Generation, Killing Floor 2, and Forza 5. Valak C Dio completed Mercenaries 2, and The Forgotten City. Mark B completed Sunset Overdrive. Hack and Pine completed The Gunk. Chin Doctor completed Archvale and Escape Academy. Kyo Olive Live at Home completed Scorn and Dirt 5. Natolinator completed Dirt 5. Professor Pluto completed Shadow Warrior 3. The Last Stand Aftermath. And hit 800k just before the show, which is pretty cool.
Finally catching up to me.
Yep.
Congrats. I know he loved that Aftermath game.
I think he had to do it all in one sitting to get that final achievement.
5 run-throughs in one sitting.
Yeah.
Jesus. We then have David, who completed Kovox Pitch, Inbento, and Run Out, and then Michael KV completed Tiny Tina's Wonderland.
Fantastic. Some really good completions this week. All right. Well, I'll quickly go into the word challenge, everyone's favorite competition that we run. If you don't know what the word challenge is, basically I pick a game each month or so, put it into a bot on our Discord, and you basically have to go into a channel called Word Challenge on our Discord, discord.io/callthegamers, and guess what the game is. Simple as that. And if you win $20 Australian in whatever currency that you need. And I put out a new clue. So no one's got it yet. It's not the fucking witness. Although I am having fun finding new gifts telling people to fuck off when they guess it. So the clues
we were having
are...
a whole discussion about it at work the other day. It's great.
The first clue was that it was an FPS game. The second clue last week that it was part of a cross-generational series. So across multiple consoles, generational consoles. And then the third clue is that it's a game that I finished. Again, that doesn't narrow down a huge amount because I just hit 2010 completed games, but hopefully that helps a little bit. So good luck to everyone. Put your guesses in. Next week, we're getting towards the end of the month, so next week might be the one where I make it really, really obvious what it is, but we'll see what those guesses are. Because people got some good ideas, but I want to get some competition going. Cameron, anything for Patreon?
Give me 2 seconds. I'll be honest. I've been very lazy with. I'm not lazy. I've had a whole lot of shit going on in my life, so I haven't been able to do the Patreon draw yet. So we'll do probably 2 of them next week to catch up for September.
I suspect we were going to skip the Patreon for this episode.
Why?
Until next week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then, in terms of people, we have Odrin, we have Lee. Why is it? Okay, for whatever reason, Patreon's like... There we go. We have Lee, we have Mikkel, we have Chapters, Natalator, Firehawk, Mad Lefty, G-Spaceman, Admiral Awesome, Keo, Happy Moogles, Kung Fu Skills, Hack and Pone, Cavalier 07, Odd McClown, Mark B, and McLovin Legend.
Thank you very much, guys.
Do the show without you guys. Sorry, I'm just trying to get into it.
You're all good. So we greatly appreciate your support, guys. Like Cameron said, we would not be able to run the show without you guys. We would go broke. And I guess that's kind of bring us towards the end of the show. If you want to come hang out with us, discord.io/callthegamers is the place to find us in our community. Come say hi. We do the show live on Twitch every week, Xbox Hall of Gamers. So you can come hang out in the chat like David and Bulbasaur and Chili Dogs and a few other people. Come ask questions and we can react live, which is quite helpful to us. And of course, if you want to get in contact with us in other ways, hallofgamerspodcast@gmail.com or hallofgamerspod on Twitter. You can ask questions all over the show. We've got a Discord channel for the questions. That's usually the best place to do it. But if you do want to get in contact with us,
battery 10%.
For some reason, we do have those other avenues. Otherwise, if you want to help out the podcast, subscribe to us on your platform of choice, leave us a review, retweet our stuff. Word of mouth, as always, is huge for us. And especially if you want to send in a song of the week, hit me up. Just send it to my Discord, and I'll make sure you guys get a credit for it if it's something I have to sing myself, or we'll just put you straight on the show. All right, Cameron, if you want to be found, what's the deal?
You can find me when my headset is fully charged again, and Shadowless Edge on pretty much anything. Cool.
Fantastic. Charlotte.
I'm on Twitch under Charmandosaurus_Rex. Twitter, I'm AudreyChar. On Discord, just work it out. Don't talk to me. It's fine.
And I'm Neomaster, everything True Achievements, Xbox, and Discord. Thank you to our patrons. Thank you to my wonderful co-hosts. And thank you to our live Twitch audience for chiming in and joining us. And for you listening at home, we will catch you guys next week. See you later.
Peace.